How's it going, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I want to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Trent Rajoni 235, Crimson Caption 5, Jade Rasmussen, Dusk Dovahkiin, Noah Morgan, Banana Peel, RF, Ash Lopez, Cold Philly, Kevin J. Coleman, Thomas Beretta, Tommy Hill, Aaron White, Crispy Bacon, Oscar Zephyr, Commander Nom Nom, Sabely, Owen, Zach, Noah Barnhart, Canadian Caesar, Matt Way, JD, Cheese Soda, Omega, Ross Lingard, Rogue Knight, The Tin Man 1996, Thomas A. Beatty, Kendra Maxey, Dr. Pepper 225, Jacob Huffman, The Names Due, Tunnel Rat, Catmere, Benjamin Callahan, Nguyen An Quan, Brony Time, Matthew B., Smooth Weaver, Hemora 13, Pro Tomahawker, Wong Varaya, and as always, I want to give a big shout out to our executive producer, Bevan Brummett. Thank you all very much for your support, and if you want to become a Patreon supporter, feel free to click the link in the description to find out more. We'll see you there. Oh, God. And get... Okay. Oh, come on! Oh, it's still not over? So it's been quite the odd day, everyone. I've had a weird sleep schedule here over the last week or so, and it all spawns from an instance where I had to talk about a friend of mine who passed away. I had to go visit his mother, who is absolute sweetheart. She was an absolute, just having to talk with her, and also confronting the fact that this kid was only 22 years old, it made me just... God. Put me in a very weird state, and I'd been depressed for a little bit, and it just... You think about these things, and you think about the interactions you have with those people, and you just, sometimes it tapers off, and you're able to absorb everything as it comes. But for me, this kid was also a wrestler, and I told his mom that I would get all of the wrestling files that I could, the files that had him with his wrestling matches on it, and then I would send them to him. And I did. It took me about 3 or 4 days to get all of them compiled together, but altogether I think I got well over 15 matches put together. And I sent them off to her, and yeah, it was a whole thing. But needless to say, ever since then, I felt, I don't know, my mind is just, there's a lot of shit going on right now with me, guys, and I wish I could say that 100%, I'm making it through it all right, but there's days I can't pull myself up, and it's I think I'm just having another bout with depression, and eventually I'm going to get past it. But, yeah, I'm sorry if the videos aren't coming out as consistently as they have been in the past. Just know that I am doing everything I can to maintain this, and to maintain my my schedule on here. But hopefully the rising difficulties will cease here soon, and I'll be able to progress past all this. We'll just have to see. But right now we have here the Nostalgia Critic, him doing a review of Tombstone. Tombstone is arguably one of my favorite westerns of all time. I have seen that film so many times. I'm able to quote so many of the lines from it. Also, the characters in it. It's a who's who of like Hollywood tough guys, and just to see all the all the stuff in it, I just, wow, it amazes me that Tombstone, Tombstone was as impactful as it was. Not only that, but also from what I hear from the behind the scenes on Tombstone, it was an absolute nightmare to get everything filmed. They had to rush through a lot of production. They had to rush through a lot of different things, and for me as a kid, I didn't really notice it as much. But the older I got, the more I noticed. And you can't talk about Tombstone without talking about Val Kilmer's performance, which, yeah, the dude was, in my opinion, robbed of the Best Supporting Actor Oscar at the Academy Awards that year, because he portrayed that character so masterfully. He was the most memorable character of the film by far. And, yeah, and also, it's a very historical, it's very historical fiction. I think I've seen Nick Hodges from History Buffs talk about this, and from what he said, it's mostly true. Although there are things that are clouded up, or cluttered up, and inconsistencies with the film. Overall, the film still, to me, ranks as like one of my top 10 westerns of all time. Maybe top 5. That's a pretty well guarded list, because there's some westerns out there I think are untouchable. But yeah, this movie right here, Tombstone, Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, Michael Behan, Dana Delaney, Stephen Lang, Thomas Hayden Church, dude, not James Corden, what's his name? He was, dang it, I forget the show that he was on. Damn. Okay, but anyway, he was, gosh, there's so many great actors in this film. If you haven't seen it already, go watch it and then come back to this, please, because it's worth it in so many ways. Either way, this is Tombstone, the review by the Nostalgia Critic. Here we go. Oh, hold on. So it doesn't blow my hair back. There we go. God dang it again. I forgot about the explosion. Oh, God. Yeah, it's still good. Okay.
Oh, hey, Heather, what are you up to?
Just got done streaming on Twitch. You?
Oh, I just got back from a screening at Tombstone.
You what?
Yeah, the local theater was jam-packed.
So you're telling me you saw Tombstone in a crowded theater with a ton of people crammed together?
Yep. God, Doc Holliday is so cool. I'm your Huckleberry.
Don't talk! Don't even breathe! Put your mask on, right now!
What?
Fool!
Why?
Fool! Don't you see? You saw Tombstone in a crowded building. My guess is it's already spreading.
What is?
I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry.
We're your Huckleberry.
Fat impressions.
Oh my gosh.
Fat impressions. A contagion as old as time itself.
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest, guys. There are so many quotable lines in this movie. It's hard not to quote it. It's almost impossible not to quote this film. I'm your Huckleberry. Say when. Just... You die first, get it? Your boys might get me in a rush, but not before I make your head into a canoe, you understand me? That was one of my favorites. And that was from Kurt Russell. That one's not from Val Kilmer. Then, of course, maybe polka's just not your game, Ike. I know. Let's have a spelling contest. Like, that is the rumor. Look, darling. Apparently, Mr. Ringo is a very educated man. How I really hate him. So many great lines, especially from Doc Holliday in this. Anyway, sorry.
It often starts when a character or phrase becomes popular, and everyone wants to remind you it's popular.
Say when.
The strain was more than he could bear.
Why, I am rolling.
But wait, Tombstone came out almost 30 years ago.
But a resurgence has made it popular again. People will think back to even more nostalgic properties they used to impersonate.
What? No.
Oh, no. No, why that? Why?
God, it's getting worse.
Oh, hi, Walter.
Oh, hi, Tamara.
Oh, hi, Malcolm.
You're tearing me apart, Tamara!
Yeah, I know, but
Isn't there any way to stop it?
Sadly, you just have to let it take its toll. There's a natural progression to this. Next is Austin Powers.
yeah, baby.
No.
Yeah.
Borat.
You sexy time is very nice.
Dark Knight.
Wanna know how I got these scars?
And of course,
Oh God, not that.
Tiger King.
I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
That bitch Carol Baskin.
Why does that always work? Say when. Plagued with production troubles and even coming out at the same time as another Wyatt Earp biopic,
This is true.
1993's Tombstone defied all the bad press it was getting and turned into one of the most badass westerns ever made. Even people who aren't fans of westerns find themselves loving this movie because of how stylized, historical, and just downright cool the movie is. Starring pretty much everyone who was and will be a star in the 90s, I fell in love
Billy
with it
Zane,
the first
another
day I
one,
saw
yeah.
it, as I know a lot of people had. So we're gonna look at why so many folks quote the lines and suddenly become interested in Wyatt Earp's history after watching it. With that said, if you are interested in how historically accurate it is, you may want to check out History Buff's channel for that.
Yes!
It has a pretty great vid by a pretty great guy who loves this movie just as much.
Nick Hodges, dude. Nick Hodges. He's one of the best. I love Nick Hodges. People have asked us to watch History Buffs on this channel, and I feel like if I talked too much during it, eventually Nick would chime in. He'd like come in beside me. He'd be like, "Excuse me, you want to do my job for me?" It's like, "No, I'm sorry, Nick. I just really love your channel." And he's just like, "I understand, but because he loves to interrupt. He loves to interrupt with his little stuff too." And yeah, but either way. Also, why aren't you subscribed to him, Doug? That's a screenshot. Why aren't you subscribed to him? Sub to History Buffs. He's worth it.
Much as I do. And while we will tap on how historically accurate it is, the majority of this review is looking at the style of filmmaking. How did it overcome the odds to create a classic from a story that's been told time and time again? Let's take a closer look to find out. This is the sometimes too quotable, but too quotable for a reason, Tombstone. The film opens giving a pretty good insight of the time period. It's gonna sound weird, but this movie is really good at world building. Now, of course, this world did exist, so you'd think that'd make it easier, but in some respects it makes it harder. With all the story they have to get across, they can't make up that many elements to serve the pacing. So they have to get a lot across in attitudes and reactions.
Y'all killed 2 cowboys.
This intro's a perfect example. This specific shootout didn't happen, but it shows you that cowboys weren't just an expression for men with hats on horses or kids you promised your mom not to beat up on Halloween. They were a legit gang.
You can always spot a cowboy. They always wear those red sashes.
Specifically, they were called the Cochise County Cowboys, and they were very rough and tumble. They were basically cattle rustlers and thieves who raided Mexico and brought all their spoils north of the border and sold them there. Now, again, that didn't stop, Mexican banditos coming, banditos or gauchos, I think that's what they were called, from coming north of the border doing the same thing. It was basically, a beck and trade between the two outlaw factions. And then eventually, I think it was around the time, when, places like Tombstone and Deadwood really started to come into their own, that the Mexican government got sick and tired of that bullshit and started building a bunch of forts along the Mexican border and basically put a stop to that, and the cowboys just started doing shit north of the border, started robbing people, started stealing shit, and started, murdering people, and it was a crazy time to be alive, man. The Old West, it's very romanticized in a lot of films. It's very everyone sees the John Waynes, how you doing there, partner? I'm gonna saddle on up and go on out there and make a living as God intended. Yeah. For the most part, that's very romanticized. So, always looking through history through wine-colored goggles. Instead, I see the truth. I mean, all these characters here had their cruxes. I mean, I know Wyatt. Wyatt was a pimp, and his wife, or his portrayed wife in this, Maddie Blaylock, she was actually a prostitute who became Wyatt's common law wife. They never got married. It's the crazy thing about Wyatt. He never got married. And all of the women that he's known to be with were common law wives, meaning they were together long enough to be considered married, even though technically they never got married. It's weird. It's friggin' weird.
Cowboys are good for business.
Later, though, it's explained that they're also good for business, as people flood to towns to get a glance at them wearing the red sashes, and usually praise similar to how we praise someone like, say, Al Capone. And almost all of that is gotten across in this small chunk of time. The way these characters treat each other is half the history already.
Yeah, Michael Rooker, that's another one, too. Another great actor. And also, the two guys right here,
of them wearing the red sashes,
Turkey Creek Johnson,
usually praise similar,
Texas Jack Vermillion. Interesting thing enough about Texas Jack, turns out he actually wasn't from Texas. Turns out he was actually from here, and by here I mean Southwest Virginia. He was literally a pastor at the end of his life. After he made his living out in the West, he came back to. He was born here. Came back here, and he basically became a pastor. It's crazy. He became a pastor in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, which is literally like a 10-minute drive from my hometown. And to think that a hero, not a hero, but a very important figure in the Old West was just a stone's throw away from where I grew up. He was born there and he died there. And I just can't believe that. When I did the research on all of the members of the Earp Vendetta ride, it wasn't just, and that's the other thing too, they only show the 3 Earp brothers in this, Morgan, Virgil, and Wyatt. When in truth, there were 2 more. The 2 other Earp brothers were also there. But I guess because of story consistency, they left him out. But when I did my research on Jack Vermillion, I was just like, wait, what? He was from here? Not only that, but he also died here too. And they actually jokingly asked him one time, it's just like, why do they call you Texas Jack? He's like, I don't know, I'm from Virginia.
To how we praise someone like, say, the way these characters treat each other really does tell half the story.
He's quoting the Bible.
Johnny Ringo, played by Michael Biehn, quotes the priest's last words that their days may soon be up.
And hell followed with him.
Hey,
Behold
Ringo.
the pale horse.
Hello, still with us? I'm eating his enchiladas.
Behold the pale horse. The name of the man who sat on him was death, and hell followed with him. That was the quote. Gosh. That's also a great one, Always a good Bible quote, especially from Revelations. Revelations all, hellfire and brimstone. I love that.
Cut to Wyatt Earp, played by Kurt Russell, meeting up with his brothers Morgan and Virgil, played by Bill Paxton and Sam Elliott.
Wait.
Rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Don't talk. Just
enjoy.
yeah, did I mention this film was a tad romanticized? Don't believe me? Wait till you see Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer. He's an outlaw gambler and Wyatt Earp's friend who just loves quoting Latin poetry and sometimes Latin poetry.
An enchanted moment. And what a maiden, pure as the driven snow, I'm sure. I've not yet begun to defile myself. Vino veritas.
So here's the thing. If you want the more historically accurate version, watch Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp. It's longer, more authentic, gives more detail.
And boring as shit. I'm sorry, that film is boring as hell. I love Kevin Costner. I like Michael Madsen. I like Dennis. I like all the actors that are in that movie. It is just so boring. It sucks the life out of you, man. But okay. More historically accurate, yeah, but Doc was an educated man. He was a dentist, very shitty dentist, which, you can't really be a good dentist back before the invention of tools and all that for the trade. So instead, he just got people drunk, knocked their teeth out of their head. That's all he could do.
And spectacularly boring.
Yes, that's it.
Riveting. Tombstone does play up their personalities, but still gets the essence of them down. It's the equivalent of Lord of the Rings the books versus Lord of the Rings the movies. You know some things are simplified, but you also know it's necessary to make an interesting film while still capturing the core of what these people are about. On that note, as everybody has said, Val Kilmer's pretty badass in this.
Yes, he is.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? If I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it.
For every actor doing a silly voice or accent that laughably flops, there are those that surprisingly work, and this is one of them.
Yes.
It's so bad he even takes on a Stallone.
Yeah, that is Frank Stallone.
He's used to that from people who just saw Hudson Hawk.
God.
I think, too, that he's like, oh, well, I'm at it. Might as well rob the place.
Good evening, then.
Make no mistake, though, all the acting in this is first-rate.
Yes.
Russell is a fantastic Wyatt Earp, walking both sides of wanting to be a family man and a terrifying voice of justice beautifully. I love how quickly he can go from smooth to psycho, and you believe both equally.
Yes.
Like when he arrives in Tombstone and throws out a violent dealer, played by Billy Bob Thornton, who's abusing his customers. And yes, not only did this really happen, but he did take the guy's job right after.
All right, man, go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
That is a Blazing Saddles line, but he makes it sound like an Eastwood line.
I'm getting awful tired of your story. I'm getting tired.
Also, Billy Bob Thornton, too.
Pistol and go to work.
This is Billy Bob Thornton as well, pre-Sling Blade. So yeah, dude.
You keep my bedroom life out of this.
All right, youngster, out you go.
Now go start a band that'll ruin your career. It gets even better when he tries to get revenge, but Doc Holliday stops him, and he realizes who he's been messing with.
I didn't know you was back in town.
Where you going with that shotgun? Again, so many great lines.
Are you? Wyatt, I
am rolling.
And other lines to keep the writers of Billions employed. As they catch up, this does lead to maybe the funniest scene in the movie, which is saying a lot.
Oh, Johnny, I apologize. I forgot you were there.
You
may go now.
Thank you.
It was an honor to get Will Smith by you, sir.
Leave that shotgun.
How cool is Doc Holliday in this movie? Watch the number of times he doesn't flinch when everyone else does.
A few years and just as sophisticated.
And this isn't just to be badass. Doc had tuberculosis, so they played up the narrative that he didn't really care who he pissed off or if he took a bullet because he saw himself as on his way out anyway.
As a matter of fact, Doc Holliday often said that he planned to die with his boots on, meaning that he would die in a gunfight or he would die, die from someone else's hand, that it would be someone else that would take him out instead of himself through, his behavior, with tuberculosis. Damn.
This is another example of history feeding fiction, not fiction feeding history. An acting troupe arrives, led by Billy Zane's wig, and an actress named Josephine, played by Dana Delaney.
Yep.
Interesting little scene.
Note the lean silhouette, eyes closed by the sun, as sharp as a hawk.
You can be blasé about some things, Rose, but not about Tombstone.
Damn it. Come on.
The troupe put on a show where half the town shows up, including Curly Bill, played by Powers Booth, and Billy Breckenridge, played by Jason Priestley.
What do you think, Billy Neely?
Wait, what?
I think he's wonderful.
That was Jason Priestley? Shit. I did not know that. Billy was played by Jason Priestley. That's interesting. The jock from 90210 played probably one of the, again, I guess it just shows the degree of him as an actor. But that's just...
I gotta say, I love any movie that looks at an actor from 90210 and says, make him the geek.
Doug, are you... I swear to God, Doug, you and I are on the same wavelength. Oh my God. So good.
Prettiest man I ever saw.
I think maybe this building will be more to your liking.
Maybe.
Set with me.
Hey.
They perform Faust, where we see something you never see Dana Delaney do. Dress up like a man and pretend to be an evil spirit.
Damn, you may indeed, if you get lucky.
Oh, don't worry, I think this film was run through the same whiskey filter that those who were damned in the play were anyway. Yeah, if you're wondering at home if there's something wrong with the film quality, this sadly does show some of the production problems. Well, it's hard to notice if you grew up with the film on VHS or DVD, or maybe even you're watching this on your phone. On Blu-ray, you'll pick up quickly many shots are out of focus, the lighting is inconsistent, some are drastically underlit, and the graininess on a big screen TV is about as clear as the film strip in the opening. Now, you could argue this is just a bad Blu-ray transfer, but when you look at how many scenes are out of focus and inconsistently lit, I don't think that's the only factor. Though it's amazing this film turned out as well as it did, you do see ironically how messy it can be when it's cleaned up. By the way, what the hell is Sam Elliott saying in this scene?
Maiden name is Sullivan.
Maiden name is Sullivan. I think he was talking about, like, how promiscuous his wife was, you know. Maiden name is Sullivan, meaning, you know, she's Irish, meaning that she's very plentiful. That's what I originally got from that when I first heard that when I was younger, because that was when her and, like, he's like, no, me and my old man are going to have some fun. And then basically he just goes, maiden name is Sullivan. It's like, yeah, she's Irish, meaning she likes to, you know, procreate and have a bunch of kids. It's a little unfair stereotype on the Irish, but whatever.
Maiden name is Sullivan.
Screw it, I'm putting up subtitles.
Maiden name is Sullivan.
Oh, cool, that clears it up. No, it doesn't. What the hell does that mean?
Doug,
Doc
come on.
challenges Wyatt as a married man, saying that if Josephine walked in, he'd fall for her like a married man in a 90s rom-com, which, let's face it, they're drawing a lot of inspiration from.
Okay, so here's the whole thing with it. Wyatt, him and Maddie, you know, Maddie Blaylock, they were together for, I think, 4 or 5 years, and that was long enough to be considered like a common law marriage. But again, they were never officially married. So that's the other thing, too. And don't get me wrong, it's not a good look on Wyatt, you know, to have eyes for another woman, but again, there's, you know, it's just how it goes with relationships. Sometimes you fall in love with somebody, and then you fall out of love with somebody. I mean, it happened with my parents. I mean, they just didn't love each other anymore. Sad but true.
Sooner or later, you gotta grow up.
Something certainly does grow up when she walks in, asks him to dance, and he refuses. Well, that definitely shows he has no feelings for her.
I stand corrected, Wyatt. You're an oak.
In that you're a hard piece of wood no woman will be sitting on. When the Cowboys make sure Wyatt truly is retired as a lawman, Johnny, Ringo, and Doc get into a Latin off.
In vino veritas.
And how detailed is this film? Even when you translate what they're saying, you need another translation because they're Latin sayings, not English sayings.
So yeah, I've actually looked into the Latin. Like when I was older, I watched this. I was wondering what they were saying. In vino veritas, in wine there is truth. Basically, they were insulting each other. It's just like, and then eventually when Ringo reached for his gun, he basically was saying is just like, well, maybe someone should show you, maybe someone needs to teach you a lesson. And then Doc responded with requiescat in pace, meaning rest in peace. It's like any day is my day. In pace requiescat, yeah.
Now, I always just figured they were saying this.
Eventus stultorum magister. Credat Judas sotella non ego.
Also, how bad do you feel for Michael Biehn clearly working his ass off to do these
yeah.
amazing gun
That was
flips, only to be upstaged by Val Kilmer with a cup?
But that's just Doc. Fastest drunk in the West.
And like that, every college dorm found their identity. Wyatt just happens to stumble across Josephine because, like I said, 90s rom-com, and they seem to hit it off.
This is fortuitous. That means lucky.
Yeah, I know what it means.
Don't woman-splain to me. I was the computer who wore tennis shoes. They go riding together, and Wyatt is fascinated by what a 90s free spirit she is.
What's your idea, Helen?
Room service. I don't have time to be proper. I'm a woman. I like men.
So on the one hand, it is the 1800s, and this kind of talking would be pretty inspiring and interesting from a woman at that time. But on the other hand, it is a 90s movie, and it does feel like Gary Marshall directed this scene.
Well, Josephine was a very outspoken critic of the traditional means of how a woman was supposed to live, and that is, in truth, what led Wyatt to fall in love with her. And then not only that, but it also what caused Wyatt and Josephine to have marital problems, which, he would often do things to annoy her, and then she would annoy him, and it would get so bad to the point where Wyatt would literally get up and walk off in the middle of nowhere just to get away from her. And here's the thing, some say that's not a healthy relationship. Again, relationships, we can't choose... We can't choose, how we feel about somebody sometimes. There's stuff you have to hold back, but at the same time, if you open your heart up to somebody, there's no way you can, it's very difficult to change who you are. And as much as I hate to say it, Wyatt was still an old, stern kind of guy. The dude was brought up in, the frontier days, and Josephine was a woman who enjoyed lavish things in life. Again, it's just the differences, and I think their portrayal here is, like Doug is saying, very rom-com-ish, but at the same time, it's a more accurate portrayal than you would think, especially with how Josephine thought. Anyway, sorry.
Are you happy?
Are you happy?
No, I'm always happy. Unless I'm bored. What do you want out of life?
Also,
I go back
Dana,
and forth on it because these two are so charming, but
yeah.
yes, the idea of a woman...
Also, I was in love with Dana Delaney in this movie. I was in love with her. I thought she was gorgeous. I thought that loved her hair, too. Her hair and the different styles that she goes with throughout this film. And also, she's just a great personality. I loved Dana Delaney in this as Josephine Marcus. I thought she was a very, very, a very good version of Josephine Marcus. Uh-oh. I'm getting a phone call. Hello?
1 hour later.
I literally just had an hour-long phone call with Chad. There was stuff we talked about on there that I'm not going to be able to put in the video, but I'll just summarize it. We just talked about shit that's going on in the world right now, and also Chad talked about he got recognized at the show that he played tonight. Someone recognized him from the channel, and it's like, that's awesome. That's fucking awesome. I love that. And I don't know what I was talking about because it's literally been an hour, and I've talked about everything from, being recognized at a punk club to, modern things that are going on, which, that is what it is. But, yeah. Anyway, back to this.
Adorably fighting social norms, and the man, confused yet intrigued, is such an overused romantic trope at the time. Even Mask of the Phantasm, which came out the same year, had the same actress doing the exact same thing.
That was Dana Delaney.
He laughs. Oh, he's laughing again.
They even got his wife Maddie being a stick in the mud. She has a terrible addiction to morphine that will ultimately claim her life, but that's not...
Opium. The stuff that she was addicted to was opium, and that's actually how she died. She died of acute opium poisoning, which, that sucks.
Not the big problem here. The problem is she doesn't want room service like Josephine.
Live on room service the rest of our lives.
Wyatt, what are you talking about?
Oh, poor Wyatt.
There is a moment in the extended cut where they address the addiction, Wyatt's affair, and their relationship problems, and what is the only deleted scene that should have been left in. Most of the others are pretty pointless and actually take away from the...
Yeah, Doc's speech after Morgan's unfortunate passing, that was a bit out of place. I didn't like that. But well, again, I mean, it's almost passable simply because of Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. But that scene between Maddie and Wyatt, which I have seen the extended version of Tombstone a few times, and that is definitely a scene that deserved to stay in.
The film's excellent pacing, but this is the only one that really shouldn't have gone.
You tell her she's nobody, she's just dirt. Will you do that?
No. And that was
Fear
that.
not, though. There's plenty of footage of Wyatt still thinking about room service.
Housekeeping.
Speaking of the film's pacing, just when you're saying I kinda want some gun shit right now, the film gives you some gun shit right now. Bill gets high as a kite and starts causing a scene, shooting at anyone and anything. Somebody stop him! Well, not for possibly hurting someone, but for interrupting Val Kilmer giving Thomas Hain Church another great line!
Steven stinking Foster. This happens to be a nocturne. Which? Frederick fucking Chopin.
How music professors think they sound when they're teaching Chopin.
Well, also, Nick Hodges brought up in his video where he was talking about, you know, the usage of guns and everything. In the scene where they were in the theater, they were firing their guns up in the ceiling, and for me, watching that, I cracked a joke. It's just like, well, guess they're gonna have some issues whenever it rains. You know, just like, well, I guess, yeah, they're gonna spring a few leaks whenever it rains again. Nick brought up the point where it was like, well, it's kind of stupid that, you know, they're going after Curly Bill here for his actions when, you know, he's just firing his gun off and all that and acting like an idiot, not in the middle of the street. Versus, you know, them firing their guns in the air at the... And while I do agree to a certain extent with their... Like, I would say the more, like Curly Bill was firing at people and firing into buildings a lot, whereas the Cowboys, like, outside of barns, shooting the two, I think he shot the juggler with the bowling pins. He shot one of those. Then he also shot the marble post next to marble column next to Billy Zane while he was doing the Saint Christmas Day speech of Henry V. Sorry.
He ends up killing the marshal, and the town wants to hang him, but Wyatt says he should stand trial. And I love how quickly Stephen Lang turns Grand Theft Auto when a gun is taken out.
That's the other thing too. Stephen Lang as Ike Clinton in this was such a great annoying dick. Like earlier, while Wyatt was dealing stud, he's just like, "Hey, law dog, law just don't go around here." It's like, I'm retired. It's like, yeah, that's real good, law dog, because law just don't go around here. And then Wyatt's just like, heard you the first time, winner, $500. He was just like, here's $500 to shut the fuck up. And here, you know, basically Stephen Lang is trying to pressure Wyatt into giving up Curly Bill, and Wyatt's just like, uh-uh.
You don't step aside, we'll tear you apart.
I want to apologize.
You die first, get it?
He gets everyone to back down, but not before...
Oh, come on, Doug, you didn't include the line. Probably my favorite line of Wyatt's in this film is just like, you die first, get it? Now your boys might get me in a rush, but not before I make your head into a canoe, you understand me? And Kurt Russell's delivery, so good, like, so believable.
God damn it! Another best line in the movie from Doc Holliday.
You're so drunk, you're probably seeing double.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Okay, it's official. We know what the sequel to Sideways needs to look like.
But I don't think Val Kilmer can really do that anymore because of his cancer, his throat cancer. That sucks that he's been restricted. He really does. I always liked Val Kilmer.
After Curly Bill is found innocent because there were no witnesses, Virgil and Morgan feel like they're making money off the poor people being abused in town and decide to become lawmen. First order of business, outlawing guns. We're in an American Western. I'm sure this will go down well.
All we're saying is you can't carry a gun in town.
And there you go.
A live feed from a Florida Walmart. Wyatt says they're making a big mistake and tensions rise as several cowboys find themselves and tell everybody they're going to take the Earps out.
Wait till the liquor wears off. They'll lose interest.
Lose interest? Hell, they're threatening our lives.
Yeah, this scene right here, I know what Doug's going to talk about because he's talked about it in a few other reviews that he's done. This walk scene, the strut that they do down the street to OK Corral is just... It's one of the best film scenes. Like, almost no dialogue. It is perfect. I love it so much.
In the lives of this window that's in front of us. Seriously, where'd that reflection come from?
I noticed that too. Me and my dad talked about that a long time ago. It's just like, does he have a window in front of him? Like, why is he talking behind a window? I'm not sure why. I think that might be a thing to do with like audio, where they're out on the street and all that. They were probably using that to box in Sam Elliott's voice more, so that they could keep track of, like, so that they could it'd be easier to record his audio. I don't know, but that is weird.
They decide to load up and unarm them, and I didn't think a shot alone could get me hard, but just call me an oak.
Come on, get home.
Goddamn kid.
I'm sure that kid will treat the next person he runs across better.
Little bastard shot me in the ass.
Here to disarm you, throw up your hands.
We ain't going back. We had a cool walk and everything.
Not
what I want.
The film not only captures the buildup of the shootout, but also the chaos of when it starts. It's for the most part pretty accurate, and there's too many awesome scenes to count. And again, 80% of them belong to Doc Holliday.
I got you now, you son of a bitch.
You're lazy if you do.
There better be at least 3 t-shirts for sale that say that. Oh, there's a lot more. Life is good. The fight is over, but the bloodshed is, as the cowboys vow revenge.
Those men you killed were my friend.
Wyatt says what everyone told Trump when he thought his United Nations speech went great.
All they ever did was laugh at me.
But a drunk Johnny Ringo is on the prowl.
What do you want, Ringo?
I want your blood.
My blood, I gave at the office.
Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry.
The coolest line everybody quotes, and only like 5 people know what it means.
I know what it means. Basically means, like, I'm your man. It's just like, ain't you got the guts to play for blood? I'm your huckleberry. You see, and also it's misquoted a lot. People think he's saying that I'm here, Huckleberry, but instead he's saying I'm your Huckleberry. I'm your Huckleberry. And it's so good. Again, Val Kilmer kills it.
Oh, hell no, I'm not looking it up.
Doug, come
stop
on.
Ringo, though, and reassure him they're going to get their revenge another night. Josephine is given a tip-off of this happening and tries to warn their wives.
I think something's going to happen tonight.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying something terrible was going to happen tonight?
Nights.
I'll give my left arm to avoid a night like this.
Oh,
be careful of the wishing and such.
Yeah, it was buckshot.
Lose the use of his arm.
Morgan, wait a minute! This leads to the only part of the movie I legit don't like. Morgan is so angry he runs out into the street screaming and yelling, straight into playing pool. Now,
yeah, that to me, I remember that happening, and it annoyed the hell out of me that there was no connector scene that showed Morgan, like, going to check on, like I think, in truth, they should have just shown the chaos and everything, and they should have done the thing where all three brothers were separated, and Morgan was like at the bar or at the saloon at the Oriental saloon, and he was just in there playing pool and all that, and the thunder masked the sounds of the shotguns going off, and we see the girl, like the wives get shot at. We see Sam Elliott come in, we see Virgil come in with his arm basically destroyed, and then afterwards we see the little surgery thing happening, and then that's when we would see Morgan get shot. But again, that's really I agree with Doug here. That's really the only thing that just story-wise in terms of it doesn't make sense. Sorry.
Don't get me wrong, Morgan was shot while playing pool, but it's not like time is passing here. After he leaves, Wyatt is kicked out, he talks to the Cowboys, and immediately after he's shot. That means within a minute he has to leave the place fueling with anger and go straight into playing pool again. It makes no sense.
Morgan, wait a minute!
Oh wait, I forgot I had an amazing shot! News spreads that the shooting's going on, and some of the Cowboys, led by Michael Rooker, are fed up with...
Okay, the only one of the person here who was a cowboy was McMasters, whereas Creek Johnson and Texas Jack were not cowboys. They were not affiliated with the Cowboys at all. So, yeah, that's a little inconsistency there, Doug.
With their ways.
Brothers to the bone, right, McMasters?
Not after this night.
I am Mary Poppins, no more. Like I mentioned before, Morgan is shot and sadly killed as Wyatt tries to comfort him in his final moments.
Remember what I said about seeing a light when you're dying? It ain't true. I can't see a damn thing.
I refuse to believe there's no afterlife for Wyatt's brother. Wyatt cries in the rain at IMDb. It's a tad more clever than it sounds.
Oh, God. Weird science.
Wyatt cries in the rain after losing his sibling, and if you think the rain not covering the town is another production issue, you'd be wrong. There's simply one lone rain cloud over Wyatt. They decide to leave, letting Curly Bill know there won't be any more trouble from them.
I want you to know it's over.
Well.
Bye.
Bye.
I remember that meme.
Years of amazing performances, and that one meme is probably what he'll be remembered for most.
Sadly, I think that's the truth. I mean, Powers Booth was a great actor. He was a truly talented, truly talented performer. And I remember him in Sin City. I remember him in Frailty. I remember him in a litany of just great films. And I hope that meme does, that meme I think will last a long, long time. And I hope that people go back and they look up Powers Booth, because he's definitely an actor worth remembering. Most definitely.
Ike tries to finish him off, but Wyatt gets the drop on.
Right behind you
Open
still.
season on all suck cow heads. I should have thought this out.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are finished, you understand me? I see a red sash, I kill a man wearing it.
I know this is an awesome scene, but honestly, I'm just thinking how cool his posse would look on the cover of a band album.
You tell him I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Even though my brother told me there isn't a heaven and hell, that was kind of a bummer, but I'm an even bigger bummer! Wyatt goes on a killing spree, taking out the Cowboys wherever he finds them, even through comedic circumstances. We have fun here dying. They meet up with Curly Bill, who's got them surrounded, and even though it's pretty amazing he really did walk out in the open and took Curly out, this is one of the few scenes where the romanticism does get a little too corny.
Again, it's because of why I know what Doug's going to mention. It's because the Kurt Russell's no. It's so silly, but again, I can't help but just like it. I would say differently. I would instead of him going no all the time, he would literally just walk out there, and when Curly Bill would just go like son of a bitch, Wyatt would literally, instead of just going no, would just like bear down and just like shoot, almost like he was an angel of death. That's what I would have portrayed him as. I would have like showed him as an angel of death who basically showed no remorse for what he was doing because of his sense of unyielding justice and what was right. I think that would have been a better portrayal there. But again, do it.
No.
Do it. Do it.
No.
Yes.
For as awesome as he is in this performance, something about this scene just makes me think of Al Borland trying to act tough.
No.
I get flashbacks of Lukas telling James Earl Jones, "No, really, this is gonna sound epic." He takes out the rest of. Wait, one more. Principal Skinner. I should have left it with Vader. Anyway, he takes out the rest of the Cowboys, but Doc's tuberculosis seems to be getting worse.
Sorry to being dead. What the hell are you doing this for anyway?
Wad Up is my friend.
Hell, I got lots of friends.
I don't.
Also, a good little thing here. You see Jack John or Turkey Creek wearing a Freemasons symbol here. That's a really good
Doing this for anyway.
Wad Up is
character
my
building.
friend.
Hell, I got lots of friends.
I don't.
I drunkenly shot them all. Speaking of which, Jesus, I didn't think his acting was that bad.
He cursed them for cowards and they shot him.
Hey, she's not happy anymore. She must be bored.
I just know it's ugly. You're all ugly. And he was beautiful.
I am so sick of women telling us that whenever Billy Zane is in the same room as other men.
Damn it.
Doc gets so sick they have to find a place to hold up.
This is Hooker's Ranch?
That's right. And I'm Hooker.
Whoa, we really got the wrong idea about this place. Ringo gets McMasters and kills him off. It's okay, Michael Rooker. Michael Biehn is the only actor in this to die more than you. And he challenges Wyatt to a fight.
I spent my whole life not knowing what I wanted out of life. Now for the first time I know exactly what I want.
It's you, Doc. By the way, Charlton Heston's in this. It's about as much attention as the movie gives him, but God help you if he's not mentioned in the trailer!
Sam Elliott and Charlton Heston.
And Doc decides to fight off Ringo in place of Wyatt.
Fight's not with you, Holiday.
Play for blood, remember?
I was just fooling about.
I wasn't.
As I'm sure many of you are aware, this never happened and nobody is sure who killed Ringo, but as an ending to the film, and even pretty badass fan fiction, I still dig it.
Say when.
He takes Ringo out, spares Wyatt a bullet, and they finish off their killing spree. They part ways, saying goodbye on his deathbed, which again is probably false as they drifted apart near the end and no reports say Wyatt was there when he died. But dude, cinematically, this is one of the best friendships I've seen on screen.
Thanks for always being there, Doc.
I must not cry. You cannot make me cry.
He sees he didn't die with his boots on, always figuring a bullet would get him in the end, and acknowledges the irony.
Oh, damn. This is funny.
Hey, Morgan was wrong. There's a light when you die, and everything looks like the end of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Wyatt finds Josephine, they reconcile, they live happily ever after-ish. But Jesus, again, I don't care about reality. This is the ending this movie deserves. It's even the end credits this movie deserves. Yeah, I know there's milking a cow, and then there's milking it, buying it, chopping it up, and serving it as hamburger, but goddamn.
This is a tasty burger.
Yep.
And that was Tombstone. Like I said, romanticized, but God, it's just the epitome of cool.
I agree.
This is the movie that got me to look up more westerns, including other stories about Wyatt Earp. I didn't get into the genre when I was younger, but this film showed me just how awesome they could be. And I was doubly amazed not only that this was a true story, but how close a lot of it was. Again, not the most authentic, but this film fabricates the amount I would expect a film like this to fabricate. It makes you want to look up more about the history.
Again,
and when you do, you're
fiction.
more fascinated than disappointed by the differences. The chemistry everyone has in this movie is phenomenal. These people are so easy to understand and connect with. and the world so quick to grasp onto. I know technically there's a lot of better westerns out there, but this is such a good one for people who say they don't get into westerns, or even history. It's so good at keeping your attention and letting you breathe in this world, and with these characters. There's a reason so many people quote, reference, and rewatch this movie over and over. And if anyone's ever down for putting it on for the millionth time, say wham. Now, speaking of which, I should probably see if things have calmed down.
Hi, Critic.
Oh, guess it's run its course.
Looks like it.
Man, that's lucky.
What?
Oh, just I never caught any of the Fat Impressions. But don't you know? You're the nostalgia critic. So?
So?
You are a fan.
You've always been the Fat Impressions.
Wait. Good callback to The Shining. Oh my gosh. Been there. Yeah, been there. Done that.
Well, bye.
Isn't that a daisy? So yeah, this recording is officially 1 hour and 42 minutes long. Jesus. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it here, everyone. What did you all think of Tombstone? If you have seen it, if you haven't seen it, why did you watch this? Go watch it. It is such a great Western. And if you're not into Westerns, guess what? You don't have to be into Westerns to enjoy the film. It's just that good. Anyway, I think until next time, signing off, I'm Nate. I'll see you then, everybody. Take care.